I hope all you guys got the latest words that I posted up there. Okay? I really started out going into those words, started out with consent, and then got under the consent rule and into ejectment. And then from ejectment, I went in to EJ, okay, all the words that had EJ in them, okay, to abjure, to renounce by oath, to resign, okay. We were taught in grade school the oath of allegiance. But was it a valid oath of allegiance? No, we were just learning how to recite it. When we went into the service, did we take the oath under a court, in open court? No. We have never given the oath of allegiance to the country in an open court yet. Okay? To be seeking to be naturalized or neutralized, whatever, how you want to look at it, to support and defend the Constitution. Therefore, we are still an outsider in the process. And then we signed up with Social Security, getting a Social Security number, and all these other items that are being handled by this outfit out here right now that is taking control of the country, which is a socialist ruler's democracy. And a democracy is essentially a mob rule system. And it's a socialist, which is a combination of fascist and communist system under mob rule. Therefore, you have unjust majority laws that are ever changing, and basically the fraudulent alienation, indentured servitude, bondage contracts that they change constantly on you, and they turn around and tax you under the democracies. You're not operating under the republic laws because you've not sworn an oath back to support and defend the Constitution. And that has to be done in open court. Now, whether that is done in an open court at the state level or at the federal level, I don't know. That'd be a good question for some of you people that basically have contact with this Judge Dale that claims that he's a judge to ask him. Or some of these other nitwits out here. David Wynn Miller claims that he's got the capability of being a judge or whatever. All these so-called experts that basically haven't given you one iota of real truth in the process. Certain oaths have to be given, okay? Don't go by everything that's in the Bible. Even back in Moses' time, they had to give oaths of allegiance, or else they were cast out. You have to declare where your stance is. That's all you're doing when you do an oath.
Do we have to have a written oath as well as a spoken oath, Patrick?
You're going to have a document, okay? Go into the court, and you're going to have to sign the document. You will recite it into an open court, and basically it would be open with a judge and the clerk. It doesn't need to be anything other than that, because this is a as I say, it's a non-adversary judicial proceeding.
So how do you set that up? You just go in and ask
You ask them.
What?
Goddamn, open your mouth and ask them. I want a non-judicial adversary proceeding to come in and basically do a repatriation and oath of allegiance to the Constitution of the United States of America. Can you do this?
Okay. Well, I've never done it before.
Patrick?
Yes.
I've been under the impression of acquiring and authenticating an original state constitution, the organic state constitution, and possibly the constitution, the organic of the USA. That I'm not sure about, but definitely the state.
You can get the original Constitution of the United States out of the Volume 1 of the Statutes at Large.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to go any other place, okay? Don't believe all this other shit about people saying, hey, there's 25 different constitutions out here. You don't know which one you're operating with. Those guys are full of shit.
Okay, so we don't have to be concerned with the state constitution? Because I believe that
you
that would be...
You can get a copy of that, too. It's in the records.
Okay, all right. Okay.
You should be able to get it online from the computer.
Well, I've been trying to find that.
They all start off with "we the people."
Okay.
That is man's law. That is not this socialist ruler's law.
Correct.
We the people are the rulers of America. But we are under, if you read the document that I put out there, the Repatriation and Oath of Allegiance, I basically took that document and from my great-great-great-grandfather's naturalization papers back in 1849 to where he basically got naturalized in Philadelphia. And I took it from his court document and made up this document.
So when we go into, I didn't see that. So when we go in with those documents and they are authenticated, we have our declaration and the oath that we're going to give allegiance to, and therefore
you just have to do this one document. Okay, you might take a copy of your Bible along with you, with your entry into the Bible, or if you have your hospital birth certificate coming in, that you are a Native American Republic individual protected, having protected birthing rights. And then you have the right for the 14th or 40th Congress, Section 2, Chapter 249, 1868, right of expatriation.
Okay, now clarify explain the expatriation, because that is a pretty scary word for me. It's not expatriating from our lawful standing as
you've got to get the documents and read them. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
The Expatriation Act, I've had Tom post that up there. I've had it on this group site for 4 or 5 years now. Okay. I've tried to address that Expatriation Act and highlight different things out of it so that people could understand what it's really saying.
Yes, it's in the current It's in the current directory, Internal Revenue Banking. It's about the 12th document down.
And then you need to look over these words that I had Tom post up at law, in law, consent, ejectment, casual ejector, adjudication or abjuration, oath discretionary or
decisory.
Decisory, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oath of abjuration, okay. An oath made by a person upon his voluntary abandonment of his citizenship. You're going to abandon your Social Security, foreign, United States, all capital, state of Iowa, or state of wherever, all capital, citizenship. Because that is a socialist ruler's democracy citizenship. You're going to repatriate back to the republic citizenship of the United States of America.
Yes, that is completely comfortable and the correct way that I'm proceeding to do.
Yes, and that's where you have to read this stuff, and that's you have to get these documents. I would print them out on legal paper. The template that I sent to Tom was on for the document, Repatriation and Oath of Allegiance, was basically set up on 8.5 by 11-inch paper. That I would put it on legal paper and then take that into the court.
Yeah, that would be the 32 off-white bonded paper. Now,
Don't make
would we?
one-type paper. Just get it on legal paper, okay?
8.5 by
14-inch paper.
Right.
Now, would we be taking this possibly into the court of equity? I know people have been talking about that.
No, you're going into a non-adversary judicial proceeding, okay?
Okay.
With just probably the judge and a clerk. It can be done in his back room.
I like that. Thank you. I'll highlight that.
Doesn't need to be anything spectacular because there's not going to be a prosecutor or anything like that involved in this.
Right, it's like going into private chamber and he signs off in it and it's acknowledged.
I don't know how they want to handle it, okay? I just started doing this yesterday, okay? And no courts are available, and I don't have any contact with any judges, so basically I've got to wait until tomorrow. Find out whether the local court can even, the state court can do this, or whether it's going to have to be to the federal court. But I've got both documents set up, one at each level. So all I have to do is print it out. And see, all these, the state of Iowa, or this all capital state of, the all capital copyrighted United States, they're corporations for profit. The Foreign Controlled Social Security Administration is a corporation for profit. The Church of Rome is also a corporation for profit. Yeah, they take the profits away from the people and then deprive the people of their assets under this socialist, and it's a foreign religious. It's an anti-American republic, body politics, foreign religions of socialist rulers' democracies.
Now, I've got another question, Patrick. Once this is acquired, and I know that we stay in the private and keep this document in the private.
You've got to read my document, okay? Until the answer is you're going to ask is right in there, okay?
Yeah, about recording it, yeah, a notice, okay.
Recording it and basically notifying, going and getting all of your properties, your allotments and properties away from the foreign socialist corporations, and then to notify them of your lawful change in status as an American Republic citizen. That's why we haven't gotten any attention from these judges, because we are an enemy out here in the process, because we're classified as a citizen of this socialist ruler's democracy. You need to listen to those 5,000-year audios, especially number 3 for the introduction. Or 003 part 1, okay? It's about 47 minutes in length. It will tell you exactly what's going on here, and that the Founding Fathers tried to prevent this. But we, the people, got so damn dumbed down and complacent, and we didn't want to have anything to do with government, and we let these profiteers come in and control the government and take it away from us. So you need to look at those 2 documents. Then we will get this, and we will turn around and now have our repatriation and oath of allegiance in hand. Okay? Then you have your Bible entry or your hospital birth certificate. Now, I don't know how many of you people out there have this or not, but you should have a copy of your certificate of live birth with the date that the state registrar recorded it, not the clerk of the court. The initial recording, which is about 7 days after notification of your birth, but the state recorder is normally roughly about 90 days thereabouts after the date you were born. You were not birthed, you were born. And then you were birthed at the 90-day mark onto the land. That's when you were given your allotment, your trust patent from the Department of the Interior, which is a subsidiary of the Department of the Treasury, or the Treasury Department. Because the assets in the Treasury belong to the people. And these guys, once you give them permission, even though you come in and tell them to stop, they don't stop. They continue on in utilizing your assets under their bond writing capability to get their profits out of a situation. That they will deprive you in every which way possible of your assets in the process. Because they think they're really doing something for the betterment of this socialist democracy that we're operating in now. That came about with the communists in this country back in the early 1900s. They've been trying to bring it in for years. And one of the key things that they bring it in under is by the usage of insurance. It's not the banking system that's really the culprit, it's the insurance companies. That's the fraud that's really perpetrated on the people, is insurance fraud. But you need to get this document. I don't know how many of you people have gotten it and downloaded and then even looked at the words. There's several Latin phrases at the very bottom of that item. The first one, he who can consent can refuse. He who should have the hazard, who has the ownership or profit of a thing, and basically they're claiming ownership, this socialist democracy, they're claiming the ownership, and they're also claiming the profit. Therefore, they ought to have the hazard of the product. No blame attaches to a person who is compelled to obey. You have to voluntarily give your consent. But you can refuse the consent even though you've given it. Especially when you found out it was done under fraudulent conditions in the process. The Republic laws do not change. The Republic laws are just and equal laws. And they can't infringe upon a person's rights and liberties in the process.
How you doing?
Good.
Start your phone?
Yep.
So we put this in, we do our oath in open court. Under my oath, signature, and living seal. Living seal is your right thumbprint or left thumbprint, however you sign. And then it's by your free will, my Native American Republic individual protected birthing right to do this. Here and now and forever, disavow all fraudulent bondages, allegiance to the anti-American Republic body politics, the foreign religious socialist rulers' democracies. Call it what it is. Let them know that you're a little wiser than the most of the general people out here. A democracy is mob rule. (51% to 49%). That's a mob that's controlling the other 49% that didn't want that thing to be put into place. That is not how this country was set up, and the Constitution was set up. Even how Moses set up the system when he came out of Egypt. In the governmental system, after Moses' stepfather, or not stepfather, but his father-in-law told him to back off, he turned around and became the president instead of the ruler over the Israel tribes. Aaron became a vice president, and also Joshua, I think it was another vice president. And then they had all the tribes down below in thousands, hundreds, and tens, and then single families set up. And that's basically the way they set this country up, the same way. But you need to listen to that, to those 5,000-year leap to the Constitution. And basically, part 3, he does a very good job of explaining that. The other 28 items out there sort of go into individual items that were being addressed in the process, like debt, like family, and other items. I tried to get all those sticks and everything else sent back in the mail to anybody that had requested them. And I also tried to put a copy of the DVD, extra copy in there, so if you do have a friend or something like that, you could give it to them. Or you could, if you got a computer, you could run copies of it. Do a disk copy. And start handing them out. Start waking people up. And if you don't have your hospital birth certificate, get a Bible that has the family section in between the New and the Old Testament, and get your information in there. It doesn't have to be one that basically your mother and father put the entry in. You could put the entry in there right now and claim, this is my Bible. What are they going to do? Call you a liar? I doubt it. Especially if you got the Bible in your hand. It must be your Bible. And then you need to try and make sure you find out the date that basically your state registrar, who is an agent for the Department of the Interior, a patent officer, a trust patent officer for the Department of the Interior, under the Secretary of the Interior, who is the final person over the trust patents out here now. And see, that goes all the way back to the first volume of the Statutes at Large, Congress 5, Session 2, Chapter 49. There was never supposed to be any debtors' prisons in this country. If you were placed in prison, you were to call upon, and it was just a debt, you were to call upon the Secretary of the Treasury to bring funds out of the Treasury and pay your debt. Because that's we the people's treasury. We're the rulers of this country, whether you believe it or not. But we've let these oligarchy, socialist, democracy rulers, like Obama shithead, Hillary Clinton shithead, the Bushes, all come in. They're all damn bankers. Come in and take control away from us under their socialist, communist system.
Fascist.
Yeah, fascist too. Yeah, Al Capone would have
Hey,
fit right into this damn system very easily, but he tried to go against them and have his own empire within the empire of the socialist system. Okay, any comments, questions, rebuttals?
yeah.
Yes?
Yeah, in regards to republic, maybe you could clarify the word a little bit more.
You got to
Because,
speak up a little.
Maybe you could clarify the word republic, because I think a lot of people think republic actually means to protect the individual rights of the people. But if you go into the Latin, the word republic comes from two words, res, and it means property, forming things. And then you have public, which comes from publico, meaning confiscation of property to the custody of mature and adult men, or what you would call custodians. The word public itself is derived from pubes, meaning adult men, manhood, mainly maturity and fraternity of men as the people. So republic is also a trick word.
Yes, it's returning the property to the people.
But it says fraternity of men as the people, which is not the people.
You got to figure out which definition in the dictionary you're really looking at. Okay, there's more definitions. Are you looking at a good Oxford Universal Dictionary or a good Webster's dictionary that has more than one meaning in it?
I'm actually looking at it from the Latin. And that's where a lot of we have to understand the supposed founding fathers were erudite in that language. And we know even medical and law is based on Latin.
Yes, and basically the Roman Empire, when it was a republic, it was operating under equal and just laws, just like Moses when he brought the people out of Egypt after he turned it over into the proper governmental system after his father-in-law told him to back down.
Well, you have the Roman Empire, they dealt with the fascist state. They even had the fasces, even symbolized what they were about.
They came about a lot later when they set up the emperors. Okay? When the Roman Empire was a republic, it was a just system.
But I just defined the word republic for you, so how can you have a republic that is just? Because republic is synonymous with fascism.
It's not.
Yes, it is. The word republic.
Okay, it's equal justice. Okay.
There's two definitions that I'm coming up with. I understand what you're saying
because
I've heard
definitions with you here. Okay.
You said always to look up definitions, so that's what I do. So
okay.
I mean, you can't rule it out.
There's other definitions out there that you can look at. Okay.
Yes, but they come from the English.
And you'll get a better understanding of, because, see, some of these dictionaries, basically, they give you a Latin and say this is what it means, and basically they've rewritten the words out of Latin. Unless you go back to what the original word was way back when, and the original meaning that was given to it at that point in time, you don't know. Okay? Just like nobody out here knows whether Jesus lived or died on the cross, because nobody was there. You're only taking second, third, fourth, 100 second-hand information and believing bullshit.
He might not even have existed in reality. But anyway, I did give you I did give you the definitions in the Latin where they came from, and that's why I said that.
I had 8 years of Latin, and I never heard that definition. And I just looked it up in the Latin dictionary, and it has 4 meanings. Common, number 1, common of the people or state. 2, official. 3, public, 4, res publica, the state, which is translated loosely as a public affair or public thing.
But that's my point. It has nothing to do with the people. And I was explaining that.
The people are the public. The public is not a corporation.
Understood. I understand that.
The first definition.
No, you don't. You're thinking that basically, like most people out here, that the government is the one that has all the power. No, it's the people. It's the public people. The individuals.
The first definition in Latin is common, of the people or state. As Patrick says, there's usually several definitions to a word.
Yes, I understand that. But the word is broken up in two. It's not one word.
Okay, go play with whatever word you want. Okay, I'm going to stick with republic because that's what the damn Constitution was set up for. And that's what the oath basically was set up for. Republic is a hell of a fucking lot different than a fucking democracy. Okay? We're arguing republic and democracy. Which one do you want? Mob rule or individual rule? We the people, in a public manner, yes, but it was a republic, returning it to the people
so that
as individuals, giving them the power. And that's why you have your elections coming up from the family house into the county, into the state, into the country. Just like in Moses' time, 10, hundreds, thousands, and then on up the line. Just like the Anglo-Americans, or the whatever, if you listen to that third audio, you'll hear about them. And that's really what these guys basically founded the system on, was basically the Anglo-Saxon setup, and they didn't have all these laws and everything written down because the people knew the laws.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Or I scared you all off?
Hey, Patrick, one other question.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't have a Social Security number, can they still do this process? Or do they need to get one before they do this process?
You've got to do it because basically you had your hospital birth certificate, and basically until you get that into place that you are going to support and defend the country. Like I said, we basically sat there in grade school. We were reciting the oath of allegiance, but we never had it in in an open court to be documented, to be naturalized into the country. Even though we were born in the country, we still have to be naturalized. That's why, in a lot of cases, they don't pay any attention to you, because you haven't been recognized.
Okay, thank you.
Does that make any sense?
Yep.
Yeah, until we get our recognition, proper recognition, and it's documented, That's why we haven't been getting anything out of these courts and everything, because they don't recognize us. We can claim all this stuff, and basically, you can do this right in any court case that you're in right now. Just say, I want time out. I want to do a repatriation and oath of allegiance. That this is an open court. You verbally state it, then you sign it, and then you seal it. And then basically the judge is going to have to take it, especially if you're over of age and you are showing you're competent in understanding that you need to do this to get your recognition. Part of the game. And like I said, this whole thing is just one big game. You can't make a bet until your bet is recognized. If it's not recognized by the dealer on the table, you're not getting paid. Draw on your life experiences and think about these things from that aspect. Why haven't you been getting recognition? What was missing? Well, it was your standing, your proper standing. You thought you had it automatically, but nothing is automatic. You have to fight for it. Quite a few movies out there have that moral to the story in them. That you're not going to get it until you basically stand up and fight for it. But you have to do the right thing in your fighting. Can't just go out there and start shooting bullets at everybody. You're going to end up shot out of the saddle before you get too far. Yeah, go back and look at some of these old naturalization documents prior to the 14th Amendment. Great-great-grandfather or great-grandmother or whatever, their naturalization papers. Normally it was primarily with the men. But nowadays, and I even went to my nieces and nephews' naturalization because they were both Korean children that my sister had adopted, and I went to theirs. But it was a block effort in the naturalization. There must have been about 30 or 40 people in there all getting naturalized at one shot. They all basically did the oath of allegiance, and then basically they got their document. Judge and clerk of the court, primarily. There may have been a couple extra clerks there, but that was about it. It's a non-adversary judicial proceeding. I think I even put that in the word definitions there about a naturalization process.
Yes.
Naturalization proceeding. It's a non-adversary, or it's not an adversary proceeding, but it's a judicial proceeding. Because right now you're appearing to be an alien.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just returning from a call. It was so quiet I didn't know.
Oh, I'm waiting for people to speak up. I mean, basically, I get tired of talking all the time.
I apologize. I've been working and not been able to pay close attention to the call.
Okay. Anybody else out there have any questions or anything?
Well, just a very minor comment. The first two definitions, I always wondered whether at law and in law had a difference in meaning, and I could never find them. And it looks like they're practically the same thing.
And essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
That law is basically by operation of law, and then basically in law is as it is in accordance to the law.
Okay.
Existing under the law. But it's got to be a valid law, and that's where you need to get under the republic laws out here, the laws of the people.
Right. So both definitions make it different than equity. That's the real difference. These phrases that it's in law and not in equity.
We just need to operate under just and equal laws, okay?
Right, right.
Equity will fall in when you operate in equal laws and just laws. But I mean, when they create laws that are unequal, that are for the benefit of one group of society over another group of society, and that's basically what these ever-changing deceptive codes are. They're out there giving a benefit to one group of society while they're depriving another group from that same benefit.
Mm-hmm.
All to work against we the people. The monarchs and the religious groups out of Europe basically had this in mind way back when we were trying to write the Constitution. And then in a Treaty of Paris in 1814, they openly stated that they were going to take this country down. And they have made the people of this country indentured servants in bondage contracts ever since the 1920s. after Woodrow Wilson became a traitor to the country and started the presidential traitors down the line.
He was basically bamboozled by the Edward Mandell House. He didn't know.
He wasn't the only one, okay? It was
right.
done way before he ever got into power. He was just a player in the game.
Right. The final player before the Federal Reserve.
Yeah. But this goes all the way back to the pharaohs and even further back than that. And these people just hidden themselves away, and then they sneak in and take over the different governments at different points in time. That's why the Israelites kept getting themselves into trouble. Because they kept referring back to the same scenario that basically the Egyptians, the pharaohs, had over the Egyptians. The Egyptians were not the pharaohs. The Egyptians were like American citizens. They were the citizens of Egypt. The pharaohs were like the bankers. Coming in and doing nothing but taking the profits away from the people. The labor and everything, and then depriving the people of that, causing all these problems out here. By putting out this false education, this false religion, all these insurance contracts, all this. This whole thing is about ready to collapse.
Yep. It's
just about run its cycle in the process. Okay. I guess if there's no other questions or comments or anything, call tonight, Tom.
Thank you, Patrick. Well, really very interesting is that you based this on your naturalization papers of your, was it grandfather?
Great.
That was great grandfather. Okay.
Yeah, he came over to the country in 1938 or 39, and he was naturalized in 1940 or 1849, 1839 to 1849, and basically then he got naturalized. Then he came out to Iowa, but he was out there in Philadelphia
right.
During that time frame, or in Pennsylvania area.
Well, you're telling us that really helps for us to understand how you go about this and how we should go about this too.
Well, see, I've got all my documents. That's the key thing. You guys never kept all your documents. I even got some of my transcripts from high school. Yeah, showing my F's and everything else on the damn things.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'll
you never know when something is going to be a key component in looking at this.
Right. You have to keep going back to things, and you may see them in an entirely different light than you did before. Well, I'll make some inquiries about this on where to take it. I think I know someone who says they know Judge Dale. I don't really think he's a judge, but I'll find out.